He's trying to circumvent the judicial system. You're not innocent until proven guilty. You're innocent until proven inconvenient, and then we just skip all the rest of it and put you in jail. But it's free speech jail, not physical jail. As everybody knows, the Twitter files were released, dripped out by Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, Barry Weiss, and a couple others. But Schellenberger and Taibbi, which Schellenberger he's fine, but Taibbi is somebody who I respect a ton. He's one of my go-to sources for news. I subscribe to his Patreon, his Substack. I listen to America This Week with him and Walter Kern every time it comes out. Like, I think they're both fantastic, and they're both writers and very good writers. So the way they articulate themselves around issues is something I can really relate to and resonate with. The way that he has been badgered and attacked in these congressional hearings is f***ing disgusting. I don't know who these Democrats, and here's the thing. It's about to get real partisan. These Democrats. This makes absolutely no sense. And the people that are like hand-holding them and propping them up that are on the anti-establishment left is absolutely comical and disgusting. It doesn't matter if your source or the whistleblower is Elon Musk. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Jeff Bezos. It doesn't matter. If what they are sharing is accurate information and exposes centralized government authority, limiting the free speech, infringing on the First Amendment of American citizens, when we know that many of those people that were attacked were correct in what they were saying, but it was inconveniently correct. It was malinformation. Information that is true, but inconvenient to the narrative of the centralized governing body. That's what malinformation is. The way he's been attacked by the Democrats is something that I am just beyond disgusted with. We're going to play a little bit of it here, and we're also going to play a clip from the team over at Sam Seder's organization, which is, again, a fake anti-establishment left organization that will do whatever the Democrats tell them to do. Whether that's get vaccinated, vote for Biden, whatever. They're never going to nut up and go vote third party, right, and challenge establishment because they buy the narrative that whoever's on the other side is future Hitler. And that's where we're at. So let's play some clips here just to show you the kind of bad faith attacks. And I shared this in the Patreon. Go check it out. Share this whole article. If you're not subscribed to Matt Taibbi's newsletter and his Substack, then you're missing out because there's a lot of quality information here. But let's just hear how they're attacked and what they're even going after them for, and see if it makes any sense considering the Twitter files and what went down and what we've seen through the Twitter files expose. If you actually look at them, not if you look at reporting from them from MSNBC, right? If you actually look at what was released and the information that is there and look at the email threads and the calendars and the Slack messages.
Mr. Taibbi, do you disagree with those two indictments?
Well, indictments aren't a thing to disagree.
Do you disagree? They're about 40 or 50 pages. Do you disagree with the evidence outlined in those indictments?
Well, indictments are just charges.
I just asked you, do you disagree with the evidence included in those indictments? Yes or no?
I'm not on the jury of that case. I couldn't possibly say yes or no.
Okay, because you said earlier, I believe, that you did not see Russia, you could not confirm that Russia interfered in our election in 2016, that you don't believe that. Is that your testimony here today? You don't believe that they did?
I think it's possible that they may have on a small scale, but certainly not to what's been reported.
What's been reported or what's been included in the indictments?
Well, again, indictments are allegations. They're not proof.
And I understand it's pretty detailed allegations.
In the Mueller indictment, by the way.
You should go read the indictment and then come back and tell us if you actually think there's no proof of it. Well, but let me move on.
Let me move on, please. By the way,
let me move on. That's how this works. You should know that by now.
So what he's speaking about there is two indictments from Mueller on the Russiagate situation, right? Russia interfering in the election, which both went nowhere, right? They're indictments, they're allegations. And the person he's talking to, what the hell is his name? Mr. Goldman here, Congressman Goldman. This guy is the heir to the Levi Strauss fortune. He's against Medicare for all. He's against the Green New Deal. He is a super conservative Democrat. The people that are propping up these Democrats who are trying to undermine Matt Taibbi and the whole Twitter file situation are on this guy's side. Right? The people that are criticizing Elon Musk for being the richest whistleblower ever are on the side of this asshat who is the heir to the Levi Strauss fortune. Now, is there a difference between creating something like Elon Musk did, right? Like him, love him or hate him. Just same with Jeff Bezos, right? They created something that we use, right? Amazon, Tesla, SpaceX satellites. You're probably going to use whatever the internet thing is, Neuralink or whatever. It's like there are things that these people have created. Twitter at this point now, he bought that. But is there a difference between that and being the heir to the fortune of a 200-year-old company? Which one deserves more respect if you were just being straight up? The heir or the creator of? I think Levi Strauss deserves some respect for making quality denim back in the day. This motherfucker, however, Mr. Goldman, deserves absolutely zero respect for getting handed millions and millions, if not billions of dollars. But now, since he has so much free time, he can be a politician. And I'm sure he's not going to use that position to further enrich himself. That would be too much to say. But what he's concerned about is indictments, right? And he went to law school, so he should know indictments aren't proof. So if you agree with indictments, it doesn't matter. And as Matt Taibbi says here, he's not on the jury of that case. So he would have no way of even answering that question. That makes absolutely no sense, especially for somebody who went to a law school that cost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Isn't that weird? I'm sure he was a legacy at that school as well. So that didn't hurt. So he could have not learned anything and just coasted on through, past the bar somehow, maybe paid somebody else to do it. Who knows, right? If we're just making allegations, right? Now, if I forced you to say, hey, do you agree with these allegations or not? How would you even know? But that's the situation that he's putting Matt Taibbi in. Moving on, I picked out just a couple of highlights here. I want to play, this is from, this isn't Sam Cedar, but this is from his team over here at the Majority Report. And we had a question about Sam Cedar and Vosh, and I haven't looked at Vosh in a while. I don't like looking at Vosh or Sam Cedar for that matter, but these guys all lost me during COVID. All right, I really liked what they had to say, and they just turned into establishment goons, and I was kind of done with it. So let's hear what they have to say and how they're going to show this exchange with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Elon Musk as they cheer for the vampire octopus, Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz line of questioning of Matt Taibbi. And I mean, when you're at the point in your career where Debbie Wasserman Schultz is owning you, maybe you need to take a look in the mirror and think to yourself, what have I done to get to this point? I mean, it's just, you just got to watch the clip, really.
I would say whenever you are paying zero price for your opinions, when your opinions aren't the ones, as even if they are correct, right? Even if they have proven true, aren't the ones being suppressed, censored, and deplatformed, you really don't have a lot of skin in the game. When you will pander to the establishment narrative, true or false, right? When you will kowtow to the Democratic establishment and do whatever they want you to do, regardless of how much you bitch about it along the way, you need to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself who you really are. When you'll take clips out of context to serve, right, for clickbait, to undermine a journalist practicing the First Amendment that is defending your right to free speech as well, because don't get it twisted. They will come for you too, you nerd. When you're undermining that guy who's standing up for you, as much as you resent him, you need to take yourself a look in the mirror and reevaluate what you're doing with your life. Let's continue.
It's something that's better seen than explained by someone secondhand.
Here's Debbie Wasserman Schultz successfully questioning Matt Taibbi. This has got to be a low point for him. It would be a low point for anyone, honestly, to have her be the Democratic representative to kind of school you. But here you go.
Journalistic ethics and information sources. The Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics asserts that journalists should avoid political activities that can compromise integrity or credibility. Being a Republican witness today certainly casts a cloud over your objectivity. But a deeper concern that I have relates to the ethics of how journalists receive and present certain information. Journalists should avoid accepting spoon-fed, cherry-picked information if it's likely to be slanted, incomplete, or designed to reach a foregone, easily disputed, or invalid conclusion. Would you agree with that?
I think it depends.
Really? You wouldn't agree that a journalist should avoid spoon-fed, cherry-picked information if it's likely to be slanted, incomplete, or designed to reach a foregone, easily disputed, or invalid conclusion?
Congresswoman, I've done probably a dozen stories involving whistleblowers. Every reported story that I've ever done across 3 decades involve sources who have motives. Every time you do a story, you're making a balancing
Can we just
test.
pause it just to appreciate that the whistleblower in this case is Elon Musk?
Elon Musk, the question, Matt Taibbi, is the whistleblower typically the CEO of the company who gives you access to the information while he's still the CEO?
One of the most capitalized men in the world.
And then also makes it a prerequisite of your, quote, reporting for it to be on his platform. Is that typical of sources? But
hey, let's so since they don't ever rebut each other or ever steel man the other side of a situation, I'll do it for you, team at Sam Cedars, the nameless people that I don't really have any affiliation with. The Twitter files were released on Twitter as threads, right? Which obviously are going to be shorter, and then the journalists could then take an expanded view and put it on their Substack or on Matt Taibbi's Free Press, wherever they wanted to put it. They could publish the rest of it, but it needed to be the summation of it needed to be put on Twitter. Now, the funny thing is about this whole thing, because these cowards can't take an opposite view. They can't step into the other side and look back at themselves because they have zero self-reflection, just like many conservatives don't. It's really embarrassing, right? These are the same. These guys, to think that these people are any different than like Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk when it comes to this kind of stuff is comical. Right? Sometimes they have valid points. Sometimes Candace has valid points. It just is what it is. But if you can't take a step outside yourself and look back in, you end up clowning yourself like these fools are right now. So do you think that it would have been more beneficial, right? If we were only focused on incentives here to expose, if it existed, a push from Republicans to suppress the speech of people in the left, right? Now, people on the far left, right? Socialists, communists, these kind of people, they got punished, right? But that gets looked over. Your kind of normal, everyday left of center person, if they were being hammered in the same way that people on the right were, that would be news too. And then, as in journalists like Matt Taibbi, you have the incentive to expose it on both sides, because then you get fans and support from both sides of the political spectrum. Elon Musk, same thing at Twitter. If it was there, they're incentivized to share it. People don't bring this point up enough. If it was an equal distribution of content suppression on both sides of the political spectrum, the incentive is to expose that, because then you can unite people against governing bodies that are trying to infringe the First Amendment and suppress speech. But that did not exist in the way that these guys are seeing it. And Elon Musk gave them access. Now, of course, some of that was through lawyers, and one of them was a establishment goon for the DNC. And that guy got fired finally. But now they have to go through, obviously, because you're sharing personal information, you have to go through a lot of some filters there. But at the same time, there's access to whatever. And if it was there, if the suppression of the left of center line was there, well, then that would be incentivized to be shared by Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi and Schellenberger and anybody else who's involved in the Twitter files. The incentive is there for that if it existed. It would be nice for that to be, because then you have a united group of people against the people that are coming after your rights. But it doesn't seem to be there. It does not seem to be there. It seems to be a pretty hegemonic situation over at Twitter before Elon Musk. And that's pretty obvious that is the case at Facebook, Instagram, the list goes on, YouTube. It seems to be the same everywhere. And I can personally attest to that. So maybe I'm a little resentful because I've paid the price for this. I try and put out a good quality product. I try and embrace nuance and share some stuff, and I get hammered and shut down. Not to mention that none of my takes on COVID were actually incorrect, right? At the time, there were opinions and could be speculative for sure. But come to find out, now those opinions are shared by the mainstream. I was just early, and it's a crime to be early with some of this stuff. That's what it seems like. So just like the gentleman before was speaking about allegations being agreed with or disagreed with without proof, he's trying to circumvent the judicial system, right? You're not innocent until proven guilty. You're innocent until proven inconvenient, and then we just skip all the rest of it and put you in jail, right? But it's free speech jail, not physical jail. It's a very interesting situation, and these people that claim to be journalists, right, claim to be principled, have completely lost the plot. they've lost the plot.
Story that I've ever done across 3 decades involves sources who have motives. Every time you do a story, you're making a balancing test.
Okay,
between the public.
reclaiming my time. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I ask you this because before you became Elon Musk's hand-picked journalist, and pardon the oxymoron, you stated this on Joe Rogan's podcast about being spoon-fed information, and I quote, "I think that's true of any kind of journalism," and you'll see it behind me here. "I think that's true of any kind of journalism. Once you start getting handed things, then you've lost. They have you at that point, and you got to get out of that habit. You just can't cross that line." Do you still believe what you told Mr. Rogan? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Now, you crossed that line with the Twitter files.
No.
Okay, now Matt says no there, as you didn't cross that line. In the context of that conversation, what he's talking about on the Joe Rogan Experience is people who are taking information from the CIA, the RNC, the DNC, that are taking information from the government establishment that journalism is supposed to be in a frictionful, right, in a very critical relationship with, right? Journalists are there to be critical, supposed to be critical of governing bodies of centralized power, right? They are the watchdogs for you and me. That's what we're supposed to believe, right? Now that's kind of naive to believe at this point, and it's a little bit comical to see how it's all played out. But that's supposed to be the role of journalism, right? So when you're speaking about it in that way, in other words, say if the FBI or the CIA or the DHS or the HHS or the CDC, right, or the WHO came to a group of journalists from a diverse set of backgrounds with a diverse set of views and said, "We're going to open the books for you guys," right? You can check out, scan what you want to scan, emails, Slacks, whatever, because somebody new took ownership of that. Is that being spoon-fed something? Would we all not be very interested in what's going on at these 3-letter organizations that have a disproportionate amount of power? Is opening the kimono being spoon-fed, or is being given select nuggets spoon-feeding? Because right now, with the crew over here at Sam Cedars' situation, are spoon-feeding their audience an out-of-context clip that we're going to expand on, right? They're not opening the kimono. But whenever an organization with a lot of power opens the books, opens it up for a diverse group of journalists to peek in and get some access to, and finds out, well, I'll be damned, the FBI, the CIA, and the DNC are really doing a lot of filtering of content. And the RNC is trying, but with a little bit less success. And the Trump administration tried with Chrissy Teigen, but that's the only person's free speech they're concerned about is Chrissy Teigen's, apparently. Very odd.
Elon Musk, it's my time. Please do not interrupt me. Elon Musk spoon-fed you his cherry-picked information, which you must have suspected promotes a slanted viewpoint, or at the very least generates another right-wing conspiracy theory. You violated your own standard, and you appear to have benefited from it.
Imagine getting owned by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That's how easy he makes it.
You got to put that over the Ace Attorney render bot, because that.
This is the thing that imagine. Did that seem owned to you? Imagine being owned by Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That's what she just said. That's the words that came out of her mouth. Imagine being owned by Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Was just devastating.
Remember that.
That was a real trip to the logic octagon. But no, I mean she's right. And like the part that gets me is not just like the business motives, because obviously it's in the owner of the company, Elon Musk, main benefit to make this make this platform look like it was bad before and now it's good, and they're going through the process of like doing all of this good stuff transparently. But even all of that, aside, Elon Musk is not a reputable source about Twitter. He, despite being the owner, and maybe because of being the owner, he is just known to lie about the companies he owns all the time.
This isn't reporting on Elon Musk. Their actual email threads and Slack messages were shared in depth. You can dig through all of this, you lazy. This has nothing to do with Elon Musk, aside from the fact that he gave them access. They're not reporting on Elon Musk conversations. This isn't what Elon Musk told them or gave them a packet, a file folder full of stuff. They were able to search for what they wanted to search for. Jesus. It's not that complicated. How do you not understand?
Or at least misrepresent the truth of certain things, whether it's Tesla, I forget the one where he like kills the monkeys with the brain chips, Neuralink or whatever. Yeah, Neuralink or some shit. Like, or the internet satellites over Ukraine. Like, he lies about his own companies.
Oh, so these people that are so pro-Ukraine are upset that Elon Musk sent them free internet when they were attacked by Russia. The pro-Ukrainian Ukraine flag folks are upset that Elon Musk sent them satellites that do the internet for free. A for-profit business giving Ukraine free internet is now a problem to you, sir. What have you done for Ukraine besides complain about shit and share misguided information? Nothing? Okay, cool. Moving on. Now, they stopped the clip. We'll remember where they stopped the clip right here.
You stated this on Joe Rogan's podcast about being spoon-fed information, and I quote, "I think that's true of any kind of journalism," and you'll see it behind me here. "I think that's true of any kind of journalism. Once you..."
Right, but you talk about spoon-fed information. Now, let's continue the clip.
Now, you crossed that line with the Twitter files.
No.
Elon Musk, it's my time. Please do not interrupt me. Elon Musk spoon-fed you his cherry-picked information, which you must have suspected promotes a slanted viewpoint, or at the very least generates another right-wing conspiracy theory. You violated your own standard, and you appear to have benefited from it. Before the release of the emails in August of last year, you had 661,000 Twitter followers. After the Twitter files, your followers doubled, and now it's 3 times what it was last August. I imagine your Substack readership, which is a subscription, increased significantly because of the work that you did for Elon Musk. Now, I'm not asking you to put a dollar figure on it, but it's quite obvious that you've profited from the Twitter files. You hit the jackpot on that Vegas slot machine to which you referred. That's true, isn't it?
I've also reinvested.
You've made some. No. Is it true that you have profited since you were the recipient of the Twitter files? You've made money. Yes or no?
I think it's probably a wash, honestly.
Nope. You have made money that you did not have before, correct?
But I've also spent money that I didn't have before. I just hired a whole group of people.
Wow.
That's the obvious answer, reclaiming my time. Attention is a powerful drug. Eyeballs, money, prominence, attention.
It's funny because this was all written out beforehand. So when he didn't answer in the way that she wanted him to answer, she has to continue going, even though it makes no sense now. Because this is the thing. You have to hire teams to do this. Like, Taibbi's organization isn't small at this point. Like, to do all the things he's doing and to put out the amount of volume of content takes a team. I know what it's like to put a content team together. It's not cheap. It is not cheap whatsoever.
All of it points to problems with accuracy and credibility. And the larger point, which is social media companies are not biased against conservatives. And if anything, they ignored their own policies by allowing Trump and other MAGA extremists to post incessant lies, endangering public safety and even our democracy.
See how they're trying to make it more partisan than it is? Am I a conservative? No, but I have anti-establishment views in much of what I have to do, and I have a lot of skepticism of centralized authority. Okay? So you can think of libertarian, socialists, like these people have a critical view of establishment power, right? So they make it, it's about conservatives and Democrats. No, conservatives in this one instance were the predominant party of the countervailing narrative, but that's not always the case, right? If we go back to the war in Iraq, it was people on the left, right? Because it was a George W. Bush war. And those people were correct and called conspiracy theorists and misinformation advocates. So, right? But really, at the end of the day, we found out there were no weapons of mass destruction. It was a lie. It was a lie. Just like the vaccine working was a lie. It's stopping the spread was a lie. Is it that complicated? Jesus Christ. It's about views that are inconvenient, not about partisanship.
Hypocrisy is the hangover of an addiction to attention. Now, I want to point out another alleged finding from the Twitter files. Mr. Schellenberger, you've referenced several times this $3.4 million that the FBI paid to Twitter in 2020 that was referenced in General Counsel Jim Baker's email. I first want to confirm that nowhere in the email does Baker say that the money was paid to censor information, take down posts, suspend accounts, or do anything relating to content moderation. Is that correct?
It is.
Thank you. But honest reporting would have explained that the $3.4 million was paid to release information, not censor it. One of my colleagues on this panel repeated your distortions and told Americans this reimbursement was used to, quote, censor certain stories. That's a flat-out lie. Mr. Schellenberger, are you aware of Section 2706 under the Stored Communications Act? It says when social media companies comply with subpoenas, warrants, or court orders, it costs them money, so they get reimbursed. The FBI makes these requests and reimbursements to discover evidence and run relevant to a criminal investigation. Let me repeat that. The FBI makes these requests to help catch the bad guys. That helps keep child predators off social media sites. It helps keep violent criminals off our streets. I support the FBI and our law enforcement agencies. It would be nice if our Republican colleagues did the same.
The FBI also makes fake plans to bomb parks, kidnap governors, to rope in patsies to look good for themselves as a PR campaign with our taxpayer dollars. Does our girl Debbie support that as well? I don't know.
And not fabricate explanations for payments that are defined for clear purposes in federal law. My time is just about wrapped up.
May I respond?
The truth is that social media companies are unregulated monoliths. They pose danger to individuals. They allow posts that bring harm, and that's the bottom line. That the other side will not tell you. I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman had no time to yield back, but I will let the gentleman, Mr. Schellenberger, respond. And I would also point out that I did not say what the FBI paid Twitter for. All I said was they paid Twitter $3.4 million.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. I didn't ask Mr. Schellenberger a question.
Yeah, but the witness wants to respond, and the witness have been invited as our guests, and frankly, they've been attacked by the federal government.
Well, please do that.
I'm going to let Mr. Schellenberger answer that before recognizing Mr. Bishop.
So are you going to do that as we move down the line of questioners?
The gentleman has not been recognized. You had your 5 minutes, and frankly, I think that's at the discretion of the chair. Mr. Schellenberger, you can respond briefly.
I'll be brief, which is that my understanding from those files is that Twitter had decided not to take that money until recently. So if you read that email, what Stasha, I believe, the person that sent it, is saying is that they started taking money after previously not taking it. And I believe that the reason that they had not taken it earlier was because they did not want that financial conflict clouding their relationship.
Mr. Chairman, the money is payment under federal law so that they can.
The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Bishop, is recognized for 5.
What an absolute shit show. But you have to admit that if you play that video out, you get quite a bit of information that was left out by the crew over at Sam Cedars' Majority Report. So yeah, that's where we're at. You know, being spoon-fed information, bad faith attacks on journalists that are speaking up for everybody's right for free speech. I'm glad someone's out there doing it, willing to take the heat. They've been attacked, and there's piles and piles of videos of these people being attacked. But that's all we get to say about that. It's a mess, man. We live in a clown world. Like, it's absolutely absurd. I know we went a long time on that. I mean, a half an hour on just that pretty much. But to me, it's worth being spoken about. You know, we're doing ourselves a disservice by not paying attention to this, and I wanted to break a little bit of that down just so you could see the type of attacks. But that's the flavor of it all right there. And this could have been a place for good faith discussion and finding out and creating a better environment for information sharing and bolstering the marketplace of ideas. But that's not what people want. They want their narrative predominantly prevailing, and that is what they will try and make happen, regardless of party affiliation. But I have to say, begrudgingly, that right now, the party that's speaking up for you is the Republicans. And that brings me no joy. I want to share with you what it takes to create this kind of content. I have to sift through piles and piles of bullshit from political ideologues that are completely ridiculous and try and find the truth. I've got to go from the left to the right to the center, all over the place. It's exhausting. I'm losing my fucking mind. But one thing you can do to help me out and help my mental health is subscribe to this channel. Turn on post notifications, like this video, leave a comment, just something, please. I'm losing my shit, and you're the only one that can help me. Subscribe to the channel.